Hello guys, hope you liked my channel, hope you enjoyed my previous stories, and as I promised, this channel is gonna be a window to a new culture, to a hidden knowledge, since we live in an era, sadly, where media is misleading us, doesn't carry the real news, doesn't carry the real stories of other nations. So this today's story is really probably should become a movie. I think it should become a movie of how much drama and how much events in it. It's a crazy story. So this story happened in Russia, most of the details. But it started in 2008, I think, or 2009. There was a lady, her name is Selwa. She has two kids, Suzan and Rami. The father was a semi-truck driver. I think he just carried goods in between two countries. They all lived in Jordan, but they were Palestinian origins. They immigrated after the war to Jordan, like most Palestinians to the neighboring countries. And they lived there. He worked so hard, and the father one day had a severe car accident and he passed away. So the mom, Salwa, raised the kids alone, just one boy and one girl. Her son, Rami, ended up to be a unique case. He was a brilliant kid, like not a normal smart kid, to the level of being a brilliant. He was known in the entire school, the whole town. He was extremely famous. Even his teachers were embarrassed of how brilliant he is. He used to correct their mistakes. He won a lot of competitions. Everybody knew who he is, and everybody, like, when he finished high school at the last year, before he graduates, colleges were contacting him. They were fighting over him too, so he can come to their universities to study with them, and they would sponsor him. But the mom, so she can support the kids since the husband passed away, she applied for jobs in tourism. Tourism is really big in those areas because it's very beautiful countries. So tourists and foreigners come to visit El Petra. You know El Petra, if you heard of it. And so she worked in one of those businesses in a hotel. Days passed and the kids grew up, and her son Rami decided to go and study in Russia. He did his own homework, of course. He's a brilliant kid. He went online probably, or did his own research and found out there is a physics and technology best school in Russia. And the mom knew that it's gonna be very costly trip for him, plus the school expense. So she told him, how much does it cost? Her son told her mom, don't worry about it. I'm smart, and I think I'm gonna be sponsored because I'm like one of the best. So he went and spoke to the university and told them, hey, this is my grades. I want to apply for a university. Do you sponsor me? The university told him, this is the university in Russia. They told him, yeah, of course, we will sponsor you, but you have to pay your own expense for the first semester. Like moving and traveling, the ticket and first semester rent and everything. You have to pay that, not us. Because they want to make sure if he deserves to be sponsored or not. So the mom told him, yeah, sure, I think I can figure that out. But in reality, that's really a lot of money. And she would never be able to afford it with her little job working as a cleaner in a hotel. So one day when she was working in the hotel, after she told her son to quit school for 1 year just so she can collect and gather some money and save some money for them, him and his sister. His sister was smart too. She wasn't like an average student, but she wasn't a brilliant student like him. He had exceptional brain. One day there was an Egyptian lady. She was a tourist. She spent the night in the hotel, and she saw her working so hard. So she just said, "Hi, hello, how are you doing?" And the lady Selwa started talking about her situation and her son. And the Egyptian lady suggested to her, she said, "Why don't you go and work in Egypt? Egypt is a bigger tourist city, and they pay very well in Al-Iskandariya." Al-Iskandariya, probably you need to Google it, and probably you heard of it. It's a very big touristy city in the Mediterranean Sea in Egypt. She told her they pay very well, and I'm going to introduce you to one of my friends, and I'll ask him to give you a good job there. I think that they moved immediately after this Egyptian lady told her, "I know someone." I think she spoke to one of her friends there, arranged for everything for the mom, Salwa. And they all moved to Egypt. The kid Rami, his sister, Suzan, and the mom, Salwa. And she started working like usual. Her kids, they couldn't afford the internet. Internet would give them access to the rest of the world, and she couldn't afford to pay for an internet. So she, I think, one day went and spoke to the manager of the hotel, and she begged him to allow her kids to work and use the internet at the guest's internet room. You know, every hotel has an internet and computer room, and probably it has a printer and a fax machine. He told her, "Okay, I'm going to allow you to do that, but make sure they never speak or talk to any of the guests, and they should never leave the room and roam around in the hotel." Salwa promised him that and thanked him so much for his big favor, because it's going to give her kids access to finish school from home, probably, because her daughter is still younger, a year younger than her brother, and her son want to do whatever online and apply for the university or keep up emailing them and stay in contact with everything. And they want to read stuff, and because they are both very intelligent kids, they wouldn't just stay home until the mom saved some money, and they would just twiddling their thumbs. One day at this Egyptian hotel, there was a Kuwaiti merchant. Kuwait is a country in the Arabic Gulf. It's everybody knows Kuwait and the conflict that happened with Saddam Hussein when he invaded them. This merchant was a very famous guy. He passed away recently. He's known in the Gulf area. So this Kuwaiti merchant was a guest at the hotel, and probably he had some business to do in Egypt or for just a vacationing there. They never mentioned what he's doing. His name was just mentioned there as he was sitting and in the lounge area reading a newspaper or something. He noticed the whole time he was sitting there, in and out, and he noticed that these kids were sitting there for over 7 hours and never moved out of the room. They were surfing the internet. The daughter was writing on papers or probably in a notebook. And he was amazed, who are these two kids? But he wouldn't go and talk to them. He was just watching them from far away. And the mom was working around, helping the guests, taking bags, whatever they asked her to do. And one day, one of the hotel guests, one of the families that walked to the hotel, they had a really big child, like fat son. And the kid was walking and dragging his bag behind him, and probably he tripped and fell on his face. And his bag probably ruptured and all his stuff came out. The the kids, Rami and his sister Suzan, were sitting, and they saw everything from the room, and they rushed helping the kid to collect his clothes. The kid, the fat kid who fell, start yelling at Rami, telling him, "Don't touch my stuff, you dirty boy. Stay away from my stuff." And the security of the hotel came quickly, and they gathered his stuff because they wear a uniform. Rami is just a kid. He was probably just out of being a simple, I just want to help. They didn't wear good clothes. They were really poor. So he didn't look like he's working in the hotel. So the fat child was worried about his stuff. So he started yelling and complaining, and it was a very fancy hotel. His parents got stressed out. So the hotel manager saw that, or probably someone gave him a report about what happened. And the whole scenario, all of it, the mom being stressed out, yelling at her son to go back to the computer room, the parents of the fat child arguing with their child and with her, and it was just a chaos. And the whole situation and everything happened was in front of that Kuwaiti merchant. He was sitting and he didn't move and he didn't say anything. Anyway, the whole drama, the whole situation passed, and she was finishing her work and told her kids never to leave the room. And then she told them, "You have to leave and go home. Just go ahead before me and I'll follow you after the end of my working day." And she worked over hours, not just daytime, even nighttime, so she can save some money for her son's school. At the end of the day, or I think it was next day in the morning, the manager called her and told her, "I want to see you at my office after you eat lunch." She freaked the hell out. She was stressed out the whole morning. She called her kid and yelled at him, "Look what you did to me. Now I'm going to get fired. We will lose our job." She couldn't, those like morning hours passed like 3 days, like days in her brain, because she was so stressed out. Eventually, she went to to the manager office, and when she walked in, he told her, "Sit down." She sat down and she started to say, "I'm so sorry, I didn't mean it. We want just to help him. He just was a really nice kid. He wanted to help the kid with his stuff, but he yelled at him. I apologize. They will never do it again." He told her, Stop. I'm not talking with you about the incident. I'm talking to you today because there was a Kuwaiti merchant who told me that he want to talk to you. He want to see you at 3 p.m. in the lounging area. Do you want to see him? He said, "Yeah, sure." I wasn't paying attention. I don't remember seeing a Kuwaiti merchant, but I'm going to see him at that time. At 3 o'clock, she went and met the Kuwaiti merchant, and he told her, "How much do you need?" Because the manager told him her story, that she's not from Egypt, she's Palestinian, and she lives in Jordan, and she moved after her husband passed away, and her son is brilliant, and she was working over hours to help him so they can save money, and she helped him go to Russia. The Kuwaiti merchant wasn't just a millionaire, probably he was a billionaire, so if she asked him for the entire school expense, he would have given it to her. She told him, "I need $8,000. He told her, "That's it," and he gave her a check with $25,000. She could not believe it. She was on her knees crying out of gratitude. "Thank you so much. You are an angel. I don't know how to thank you." And he told her, "I'll give you this amount of money, and hopefully he will make us proud, and hopefully he will get accepted in this university, and he will finish his education. And I wish you all the best." And she never saw the guy again. She was so happy. She was thrilled. So she asked the manager to go home to carry the news to her son. And her son was extremely ecstatic because now he doesn't have to wait for the whole year. He can move directly to Russia because he got the funds. He bought the tickets contacted the school to arrange for his where he's gonna sleep, where he's gonna stay, and everything went very well. So he left. He left to go and study in Russia, and his sister Suzan and her mom stayed in Egypt. Now Rami's story in Russia is gonna start. So in Russia, his life was incredible. He met brilliant students like him. He went and lived in the dorms of the university. As any university, they are all young, so the students go out and go to a party and they have fun and they go out. But he's the only one who didn't go out. He is always staying in his dorm, studying, reading, doing homework. And he has a couple of brilliant students like him, and I'm going to tell you what is their names, and I'm going to mention them for you now. One of the brilliant students who was with him, his name is Jimmy. He was a Japanese brilliant student. He was the smartest kid in Japan. His mom was a psychologist, and she was also famous. She developed a methodology where she's using, I think, hypnotizing. She hypnotized the patients and she put them to sleep and then questioned them and asked them specific questions so she can understand what's going on in their brains. Those patients weren't normal patients. They were criminals who committed homicides, who had committed big crimes. So that was her job. And actually, she, probably you know her, she's the one who treated Jennifer Lopez's ex-husband when he had psychological issues or he needed treatment. So that's his mom. And his dad also was smart. I think he was in technology. So that's Jimmy, the Japanese student. Another brilliant student, his name was Sajjad. That guy was from Persian origins, and his mom was Moroccan, and he was also a brilliant student. So they all were studying together. Especially Jimmy, he had books from international books. They are hard to buy. They are very rare books. You cannot find them anywhere. One of the brilliant students who was in his group, they were three of them, Rami, Jimmy, and Sajjad. Jimmy was a brilliant Japanese student. He was one of the smartest kids in Japan. His mom was a psychologist. She developed a new technique where she hypnotized the criminals and she put them to sleep and asked them a couple of questions to help solve the mystery or find out if they were the real criminals or what was their reasons. Or because if she asked them consciously, probably they will lie or something. So that's what she was doing. She was really famous. Probably you know her. I don't know her name, but I know that she's the one who was treating Jennifer Lopez's ex-husband. That's how she became famous. So a lot of famous people were going for her, seeking her services. And his dad also was a psychologist. He was treating phobia and stuff like that, and helping addiction patients to recover and from their addiction. And the other student, his name is Sajjad. He is from Persian origins and his mom is Moroccan. I think 2 months passed and they were just going through the same routine, studying together and just going to classes and hanging out with each other, supporting each other with their classes. And one day they met a new student. His name is Malik, and he was from Afghanistan. This student, Malik, approached Rami one day and told him, let's go to my apartment, let's go and play. Or let's go and hang out. And Rami always said no, like usually. And one day Malik approached Rami and told him, hey, I have Sony at home. Do you want to play with me? It's really fun. And it's not in my apartment here. It's in my apartment outside the university. Of course, Rami is from a very humble origins, escaped a war-zone country, very poor. He have never seen Sony. And back then, it was really expensive and rare to find even anybody that owned Sony. And so Rami said, okay, yeah, I'll go and try it just for a couple hours. And Malik told me, yeah, just a couple hours and I promise you will come back quickly. So Rami went with Malik to play Sony in Malik's apartment outside the dorm. He has another apartment outside the dorm. And I'm saying these details because there is a reason. You will find out later on in the more we progress with the story. So this incident didn't happen once. Of course, Rami loved Sony. At that age, a teenager, like in his late 18, 19 years old, he loved the game. So he started going every day, and almost after the third day, Malik pulled out with some weed. And Rami doesn't know what weed is. And Malik offered it to him. He said, oh my God, you will be in a different planet. It's amazing. It's not the drugs. It's very mild. You try it and you will see what it's going to do. Rami said, no, I don't do these things. It's going to affect my school. He told him, and then Malik said, no, just try it just once. You will be fine. If you didn't like it, don't do it. And under the pressure, and since they became friends and he's hosting him in his apartment, let him play Sony, and he didn't pay for the weed. He just gave it to him for free. Rami started smoking weed, and he didn't stop. He loved the effect of smoking weed and the feeling of being high and staying away from school stress. And a week passed, 2 weeks passed, 3 weeks passed, and Rami forgot about school and jumped into a different world with this student Malik. He still goes to school and he's okay. He still does his homework. And at the end of the third week, Malik told Rami, why don't you ask Jimmy, the Japanese student, to join us? At the end of the third week, Malik, the Afghani student, told Rami, why don't you ask your friends to join us? They would love it. So Rami went to the Japanese and the student, Jimmy, and to Sajjad, the Persian student. And they loved it too. They loved it. They got involved really deeply with this Sony and with Malik, and they thought he's their best friend, and he gave them weed for free. A week passed and he introduced them to cocaine, a harsher type of drugs, as you know. And then after next week, he told them, now you are good, you should move to the next level. And then he introduced them to heroin, and heroin is really addictive. And they got really sunk into this dark hole of drugs. All of them were high all the time. They neglected their homeworks. They stopped going to school. The school gave them one warning, then gave them a second warning. And from the second warning, I think Jimmy, the Japanese student, and Sajjad, the Persian student, they were able to pull themselves out of it. Not fully, but they didn't get the third warning. But the Palestinian student Rami, the poor guy, he got the third warning. And after the third warning, the school gave him an official letter telling him that you have 1 month to finalize your matter and you have to leave the country. Of course, Malik kept giving him drugs, and Rami got kicked out of his apartment. The month passed. He couldn't go to school, back to school like his friends, and he get kicked out from his apartment at the end of the month, and he just ended up in the street. He didn't know what to do. He didn't know where to go, so he called his best friend Malik that he always host him, the Afghani guy. And Malik told him, yeah, come over. And of course, from that moment, Malik didn't treat him like a friend. He treated him like a servant. He made him clean the house, deliver drugs, and do some dirty stuff around the house, carry the garbage out. He was literally like a servant for him. And he took all his money that his mom gave him. He spent it, all of it, in heroin and drugs. And when he ran out of money, Malik kicked him out of the house. He told him, I cannot host you anymore. Just go to this Russian friend of mine. He can host you. And guess what? Of course, after you get involved with the drugs, you lose your identity, you lose your respect for yourself, you lose your morals. The drugs is talking in your behalf, and especially that he, as young as he was, he got involved in the darkest of the darkest in this life. What happened to Rami next is that this Russian guy asked him to pay for the drugs he's gonna supply him, or to stay in his place. What was the payment, since Rami didn't have money, is that he's gonna give him sexual favors. I can't say anything. I'm not sure how much I can say with YouTube policy, but you know what I'm talking about. He offered him sexual favors for a little bit of a drug and to stay in his place. The Russian guy got tired of Rami after that, because he was a liability. He was completely broke. He started to feed him and want to take care of him and give him drugs all the time. It was so expensive for him, so he kicked him out too. Now you know, like, you wonder why the Afghani guy Malik had an apartment in the dorms and an apartment outside the dorms. Have you wondered about that? Keep this piece of information there, and we will come back to it later on. I will answer it for you. Anyway, so now Rami is just a lost soul. There is nowhere to go. There is nothing he can do, and he cannot go back to school. One day he would borrow money from Jimmy. Another day he would borrow money from Sajjad. And his days passed like that, and eventually he ended up as a homeless person. He started to spend the nights and sleep underneath the bridge. That's Rami for now. Now we will go back to his sister, Suzan, and her mom. Unfortunately, the mom had symptoms of breast cancer, and it was at a very late stage. There is nothing can work to... She's not gonna heal. Nothing can work with her. Her daughter, and she told her daughter, hey, I'm sick. I have, I think, a tumor in my breast, but I'm gonna be fine. The daughter said, Mom, no, you're not gonna be fine. What are you talking about? You have to go to the hospital. This is cancer. And she begged her mom to go, but the mom, she said, no, it's gonna cost us so much money. Your brother needs this money, and you too. I don't need it. I will be fine. I'll pray to God and we will be fine. And the daughter refused. She said, no, Mom, you have to go to the hospital. So under the daughter pressure to forcing her mom to go to the hospital, I should say that they went back to Jordan since they got the money. She went back to her old job, and she stayed in the town where she was living before. So she went to Queen Rania Hospital. I'm sure you know who she is. She's the current king wife. She's really young, and she's like... Prince Diana of the Middle East. She's really famous and does charity events. She's amazing. Anyway, when she went to the hospital, and they told her it's a very late case, and within 2 weeks the mom passed away. It was very tragic. very tragic situation. And during those 2 weeks, Suzan was calling her brother day and night, but he never picked up. His phone was disconnected because he sold it so he can buy the drugs. He was a lost soul there. He forgot about his mom and sister. He didn't call them for months and months. Some days he used to cry in front of the university and would just stand there and watch his peers in the university. And his friends were, some of the students were watching him like, who's this kid? He looked like homeless, and his eyes had black color around them because of the drugs, hardcore drugs he's taking. And they felt really sorry. And one day his friend Sajjad saw him outside the school, and he approached him and said, oh my God, how are you, Rami? What's going on? What happened to you? Why do you look like this? And Rami told him, I lost my phone. I need to talk to my mom. It has been 4 months and I haven't talked to her. And his friend Sajjad told him, okay, come over with me to my house after I finish my class, and I'll take care of you. So he took him to his apartment, gave him a shower, gave him some clothes, and then gave him the phone and told him, okay, now you can call your sister and your mom. So he called his mom, but the mom phone was disconnected because she passed away. Then he called his sister, and the sister picked it up, and she was sobbing on the phone. Where are you? You bastard, you left us alone. My mom passed away. And he was like, oh, I'm sorry. I just was so busy with the school, it's hard. And he was lying, and he didn't give a fuck that even his mom passed away. He just want to call his sister for the money. He told her, yeah, I am working in a company now, and I was just busy with my new job to support myself. He just told her a bogus story why he was busy. Now, his sister, Suzan, her mom, as I said, left her $18,000 out of the 25 that the Kuwaiti merchant gave her. And she knows how to apply to universities. She saw her brother and what he did online before he leaves, and she's a brilliant girl too, not as brilliant as her brother, but she was a very smart student. So she applied for the same university that her brother applied to, but in another department, so she can meet him there. She called her brother again at the same number that he called her from, which was a phone that his friend Sajjad bought for him. He told him, I'll buy you this phone, you can call your sister from it, and don't sell it. She called her brother again to see where he is, or if he can meet her at the airport and pick her up, but he didn't pick up. So she called again, and this time her brother didn't pick it up. His friend Sajjad picked it up, and when he picked it up, she said, hello, who is this? He told her, this is his friend Sajjad. Are you his sister? She said, yeah, I'm his sister. Where is he? And how do you have his phone? He told her, no, I don't have his phone. I just set up the phone to forward his calls to me, to my phone, just in case he lost his phone. And probably he lost his phone. And when in reality, Rami again sold the phone. So the phone calls were being forwarded. If anybody is calling Rami, the calls are being forwarded to his friend Sajjad, the one who bought him the phone to help him. Anyway, she told him, I need to come to Russia to see my brother, but I need help. I don't know where to stay. I don't know where to go. Who will pick me up from the airport? So Sajjad told her, yeah, I'll give you these 2 girls' phone numbers, and these were 2 Egyptian girls. I'll give you these 2 girls' phone number, and he knew these girls actually. At the end of the story, I'm gonna tell you that he married one of them and then divorced her anyway. And these 2 girls took her from the airport, helped her find a new place to live. They showed her the local stores, the grocery stores. And every time she asked about her brother, they told him, we don't know where he is. So she never met her brother until today. By today, I mean like the day I'm talking about when she moved to Russia. So Sajjad offered her that he's gonna go out one day and look for him and tell him that Suzan, his sister, arrived to the country and she wanna see him because he sleeps underneath the bridge. Nobody knows where he is. He sleeps in the streets. Sajjad is one of those people who transport from a place to a place. He own a Harley Davidson motorcycle. You know the Harley Davidson. So he owned one of those and he used it for transportation. And one day he was attending an event. Of course, he went on it looking for Rami, but where would he's gonna find him? He doesn't know where he is. And one day, Sajjad was attending a Harley Davidson event. I think it's for marketing, for charity event or something. And there was a lot of people with him. And suddenly he saw Rami walking in the street by the event. And he was miserable. Like he had black color around his eyes. Not because someone punched him, it's because of the drugs. He lost so much weight. He looked so dirty. His hair is messy. And he had actually a cut in his face. It's like somebody stabbed him or cut him with a knife. Really big cut in his face. He looked really scary. You know what the drugs do to, and what addiction does to people. He looked really tired. Sajjad, his friend, took him aside and stopped him and told him, "Hey, what's going on? What happened to you? Come with me. Your sister is in town." He told him, "Sister? What sister? What?" And he acted like really completely wasted and was high on the drugs. He wasn't even aware who's his sister is. He was that destroyed. So he took him to his place, gave him decent clothes, gave him a shower, and then took him to where his sister lives. And of course she wasn't there. So they waited for her. I think she went to the close grocery store, walking to the grocery store next door to them. And when she finished shopping, she came home, and she saw her brother and Sajjad, his friend, sitting. She recognized Sajjad and said hello. And Sajjad told her, "Do you know who is this?" She didn't recognize her brother. It's unreal. She didn't recognize her brother. It was that he looked that bad. So when she saw Sajjad, she told him, "Thank you so much for introducing me to those girls. You did me a big favor. I don't know how to say thank you, but I still haven't found my brother." And he told her, "Hey, this is your brother." She said, "What? My brother? What?" And she was shocked. She just collapsed, crying. She hugged her brother. "What happened to you? What's going on?" And her brother Rami had a weird haircut. His head was shaved. And he never does this haircut. His face has a massive cut. And his friend Sajjad, sorry, I keep getting messed up between the names. His friend Sajjad told him, "What happened to your face? Sit down and let us know what happened to your face." And he told his sister, "I'm hungry." The sister gave him some food and he sat down and told him, "I was in a prison." And his friend Sajjad told him, "A prison? What do you mean you were in a prison? What happened?" And his sister was crying the whole time still. She told him, "Stay with me, don't go anywhere. I'm gonna give you food and money, and we will go back to the same way we have been when my mom was alive." And when Sajjad heard Suzan talking like that, he took her aside and he told her, "Hey, your brother is a drug addict. Don't give him any money and don't give him anything. He's gonna waste it. Got it?" She said, "No, he's my brother and he needs help. What are you talking about? My money is his money and my mom told me keep it and take it to your brother and help him." Anyway, Sajjad left the apartment and left them together. And he told her, "If you need anything, just call me." And after Sajjad left, Suzan gave her brother $18,000. She gave him the whole money and she told him, don't waste it, use it to go buy clothes and go back to school, pay your tuition and stay with me, or if you want to have a rent of your own. I don't know why she did that. She gave him the whole money that she had. Anyway, she gave him the money and he left. He told her, I have some errands to finish and then I'll come back. And he never came back again. Couple days passed. She called his friend Sajjad, and Sajjad picked her up when she was crying. Where is my brother? I don't know where he went. I gave him the money. And Sajjad told her, I told you not to give him the money. She said, well, I didn't know this is going to happen. And she started crying. And he told her, I don't know what to do. We don't know where he lives. He doesn't have a place. So she went outside looking for him on her feet. She looked everywhere. She walked day after day after day, and she couldn't locate him. There is nowhere to be found. Believe it or not, 4 or 5 weeks passed, and he came back on his own. And that's when the story just started. He came back asking for more money because he's a drug addict. And she told him, what? I gave you $18,000. Where is it? Are you crazy? I don't have money even to eat now. You left me alone and you took all the money. We were supposed to share it. He told her, I'm sorry. I got robbed. I don't know what happened. Now I need more money. She told him, are you crazy? I have only $400 left for us to buy food. And I don't know what to do after that. And he told her, no, I need to buy just 1 dose. I'm really tired. I'm in pain. I need 1 dose. Of course, drug addicts, they suffer from withdrawal symptoms, and she didn't know that. They could die if they didn't get the next dose. And she's innocent. She never seen the drugs. She never used the drugs. She doesn't know what's going on. She told him, okay, brother, just go sleep. She thought that he would sleep it off. Just go and sleep, and when you wake up, we will figure it out. When he woke up like a monster. Nothing changed. He became worse because he's suffering from withdrawal symptoms. He was extremely tired. He was sweating. He was screaming. He destroyed the whole apartment. He broke the furniture. He went to the kitchen and broke the dishes. So she went again and to call one of his friends. The way she got a hold of the friends is that the Persian guy, the Persian friend, Sajjad, before he leave, gave her a piece of paper because he knows maybe she will need something in the future and she might not have a phone or something. He gave her a piece of paper and he wrote down Jimmy's number and his number. So when after Rami woke up, Suzan didn't know what to do because he was going crazy. He even hit her. She was bleeding from her eyebrows. He threw the toaster machine on her. He destroyed the microwave. He just wanted the money, and she didn't know what to do. So she called Sajjad, his friend, and Sajjad told her, I'm really sorry. I don't know what to do after this. I'm really tired of this. I don't think I can help you at all. I don't know, go home, figure it out. I don't know what to do. Call the hospital so that he gets treated from his addiction. I told you not to give him the money. I cannot help you anymore. And he hung up. He told her, call Jimmy. Maybe Jimmy can help him. The poor girl called the other guy, Jimmy. She got his number from the piece of paper that Sajjad gave her and told her, call him. She called and Jimmy told her, okay, I know what's going on, because he was a drug addict before. He told her, where do you live? She gave him the address. Jimmy drove to their house, and when he walked in, he saw Rami destroyed the whole house. The whole house was chaos. Furniture is everywhere. The sofa is ripped. The appliances are broken on the floor, the kitchen, all the dishes are broken. The girl was bleeding from her eyebrows. And she told him, please calm him down. She was crying in a hysteric way. Please calm him down. I don't know what to do. And Jimmy told her, okay, let me see what's going on. And he asked Rami to sit down and told her to sit down. And when he saw her, he told her his blood pressure is really low. He has to get 1 dose. She told him, are you crazy? I brought you here to help me so he doesn't go and get more drugs, and you want to get him more drugs? We don't want that. He told her, no, you don't understand. He's suffering from withdrawal symptoms. His heart could stop. We need to get it actually as soon as possible, immediately now. And then we will figure out what to do after that. But he's gonna die. Do you want him to die? She said, okay. He told her, give me some money. She said, how much do you want? He told her $100 should do it. So she gave him $100, and now she's left over with the $300. She told him we will help him after we give him the dose. He disappeared for like 10-15 minutes and got a dose, just 1 dose for him, for Rami, from a Filipino guy they know there. I know this because I read the report about the details about the story. So Suzan says, okay, what are we gonna do now? He told her, I'll just give him this dose. And then he injected himself with the dose and gave half of it to Rami. And they got both high, and he was chilling and relaxing in the room. She brought them food, she brought them water, she was taking care of them when they were high, and she didn't know what to do. She never seen these things. An hour passed, and then Jimmy woke up and told her, hey, we need more money. She said, more money? You said we will figure this out. I told you I don't have money. He told her, no, I need the money now. Your brother is gonna die, and I need a dose, because he was high already on the drugs. So he needs the next dose no matter what. And she told him, I brought you here to help me, not to be another burden. Of course, Suzan, we didn't talk about her. She is extremely beautiful girl. Really, really beautiful. She's really sweet and nice and polite. She was really conservative. She was innocent. She doesn't know any of this stuff that her brother exposed her to, and Jimmy. Jimmy went to her brother Rami and told him, hey, your sister is not giving us any money. We need another dose. To ask her to give us some money. Rami went running to his sister, yelling and screaming, I told you now to give me the money that my mom gave to you. She told him, the poor girl, she told him, I gave all the money to you. I have nothing left. All I have is the $300 that will help us buy food and for transportation to the university. And she was crying still and destroyed by the scene and confused. And Jimmy told him, hey, Rami, I have an idea. I'm gonna pay for the drugs, but you have to let me sleep with your sister. Suzana freaked the hell out. She said, you dirty, you bastard. Sorry for the language, but that's how the translation is. You filthy, dirty person. How dare you say that? And she started crying. She wanted to hide behind her brother. But her brother actually attacked her and told her, give us the money or this is what you are gonna get. And she started crying and she was running toward the bathroom. They attacked her in the bathroom, and her brother started hitting her with whatever was in front of him. She ran to the kitchen, then she ran to the living room, and then both of them start hitting her. The poor girl, they just lost their minds because both of them are under the influence. And she was a weak girl, and they were going through a hysteric situation. They were beating the shit out of her. She was collapsing, like losing her conscience and then coming back, losing her conscience and then coming back. And then at that point, Jimmy even lost the interest to sleep with her. He lost his mind. Both of them want to just kill her and get rid of her. They were geniuses, but they were under the influence. They just wanted a more dose of that drugs. What do you expect from a drug addict? Very sad story. Anyway, Jimmy went to the bathroom. To the kitchen. He was looking for something sharp, like a knife or a machete or anything to just finish her. And Rami still was beating her. She got really weak after that, and after all that time of sitting on the sofa, taking care of them when they were high, bringing them food and water, and that's what they did to her. Jimmy got tired. He couldn't find any knives or any sharp thing in the kitchen. What do you think he did? I told you they were geniuses, but now they are geniuses in an evil way. He went to the bathroom and they dragged the girl there. But before that, he went to the bathroom, he opened the plug-in, the switch on the wall. He got all the wires out, the electric wires out. And then he went outside, asked Rami to drag his sister with him to the bathroom. They put her under the shower to get her wet. Look how evil they are. They just want to electrocute her so she dies, since they don't have anything to hit her with. I had to stop a little bit to gather my thoughts, because it's really a tough story. I can't believe that. I told you it's worth to be a movie. It's a crazy story. Anyway, the attempt to electrocute her, to kill her by electrocution, failed because they electrocuted themselves. It was very dangerous thing to do, because they got wet. She is wet. The brother is wet. What they did is they tried to finish her by kill her by beating her more. They just lost their minds. They just continued beating her, and she was in a shock situation, like her own brother. And she kept telling them, stop. Eventually, her brother brought the microwave, and she got really weak, and the report says that she died. She had a heart attack. She got really weak from the beating, but she had a heart attack out of fear, and she had a shock of what's going on, because she called the friend to help her, and this is her brother. How could they beat her to death like that? Anyway, after a while, they tried to get more drugs, and Jimmy was looking around the house for bags or anything, and they want to get rid of the body, of course. They found a bag of money behind the washing machine. She hid it so her brother doesn't take it, or anybody else, when she noticed before when they tried to take the money from her. They found Egyptian currency, Jordanian currency, and Russian currency. And then Jim then suggested to Rami, and he told him, let's go and get more doses, and I'm going to go and buy knives. She doesn't have anything in the house. They took a dose of the drug, and Jimmy did an incredible job to get rid of Suzan's body. He is a genius, as you know, so probably he read it in a book, or God knows how he knew how to do this type of a job when he cut off her body into pieces, like in a professional way. And they kept continuing doing that for 3 days. They went and bought backpacks, these, not the normal backpacks, the big backpacks, the long ones that people go around Europe when they say, I'm going to go to Europe backpacking or Asia. They buy really big backpacks specialized for road trips. Anyway, those types of backpacks, they cut her in pieces and filled the bags with it. Guess what they did with that? What is their plan? I told you they are geniuses. Russia, I'm assuming it's the capital. I don't know what city. It was never mentioned in the report. Probably I should have Googled it, because the name of the zoo is Loring Grand Zoo. And it's a very famous zoo in Russia. People would travel to come and see it. And the zoo was a very big tourist spot, as I told you. You can take your car and drive around it in the safari, or you can walk by foot. And back then and also until today, you know that Putin kept it as a secret. He tried to create an image about Russia that it's a prosperous country, that it's a safe country, everything is great. He forbid from spreading any news about murders or any crimes going on, just to show the world how civilized Russia is. Despite the fact that Russians are really strong and aggressive nation because of all the wars they go through, they had incidents. One incident that one day, I think you heard of the story probably, an airplane flew from Russia and it crashed in Switzerland. I'm sure it's a Switzerland. So people died in it. And after 5 years, there was a murder incident happened where a Russian guy killed a Swiss guy. The Swiss guy didn't mean to kill anybody. It was just a mistake. He gave wrong instructions, or, I don't know what happened. It was wrong instructions from the ground to the airplane in the sky, and it crashed. Anyway, guess who killed that Swiss guy? It was the Russian father. He was the father of one of the kids who passed away in the airplane crash, and his wife too. 2 kids and a wife. Anyway, now we are gonna come back to the zoo. What is the story behind the zoo? These 2 criminals, genius criminals, they thought that the best way to get rid of the body when they were under the influence is to take Suzan's body to the zoo and feed it to the animals, to the lions and tigers and any animal that eats meat. And they decided to go to the zoo, and it's really early in the morning before anybody show up. Of course, the zoo opens early in the morning, but nobody showed up that early. But that's their job. They have to open it up, and whoever show up. Usually people show up later in the morning or around noon. The zoo was empty when they came in. And they were walking around, just watching, pretending to watch the animals. And they found a lion cage. And, the workers are busy opening the zoo, cleaning the place, taking care of the other animals. And the zoo is massive. It's known internationally. So Jimmy started opening his bag first, and it's gonna be so gross. I'm sorry, but this is a real story. And Jimmy opened the bag and took Suzan's arm, and he gave it to the lion. The lion ate 1 piece. He dropped him the 2nd piece, the 3rd piece. Then he said, we have to move on and go to the next cage. This one probably is full, and we don't want anybody to see the body parts. Then they moved to the other animal. They were so drugged and high. They even dropped some pieces on the rhinoceros, on the monkeys, some of it with the gorillas. And that zoo has a very famous gorilla, a male gorilla. Gorillas usually live with families. They have one male, and they bring to him a female. They breed, they have babies, they leave them for a little bit, and then after that they take the family away. And then they bring him back in another season when it's a breeding season. At that day, that time, the gorilla was alone. There was no kids around him, his babies, nor any of his females. So the dumbass criminal, he threw Suzan's head on the gorilla. The gorilla took the head, and he acted really in a weird way. He took the head and started patting on the head, on the hair. He hugged it like he was sad. He started to make sad noise, like even animals recognized how ugly this crime is. He wouldn't leave the head. And of course, tourists start coming to the zoo at 2 hours past. When Jimmy did that, he immediately ran away from the zoo, him and Rami. Stormed out of the zoo. When the tourists showed up, It was a massive chaos. There is a human head in the gorilla cage and some body parts. Immediately the police shut down the zoo and people gathered around the gorilla. They were taking videos. The police showed up and they shut down the zoo, kicked everybody out. Of course, Russian, as I told you, they try to hide any bad news about what's going on in Russia. So they took people's phones, forced them to delete the videos, but of course somebody sneaked it out. And that's how the story became known public. Probably if you Googled it, you will find it. Long story short, the people start wondering what's going on with the police inside the zoo, and they shut down the zoo for 6 months for investigation after that. But to take care of the situation, at that time they kicked people out, confiscated the phones or the videos. They tried to take the head out of the gorilla, but the gorilla wouldn't give it back to them. He was just holding it like if he's hugging it and making sad noises and like really sad way. They thought that they should drug the gorilla and sedate him. And they throw these guns that has anesthesia at the end of it. They shot one gun, he wouldn't sleep, another one, a third one, the fourth one put him to sleep eventually. Carefully they came to the cage, they took the head, and after probably a while the gorilla woke up and he didn't see the head on him, and he started destroying everything around him. He was going crazy, going in circles, running around, jumping around the cage, hitting his head in the cage. He was really mad that they took the head from him. Anyway, he reminds me of King Kong, who was sad about the girl that he loved. Anyway, the police kept looking for who did that. They kept searching for who did the crime. They got the videos out. Of course, you will say, oh, what did they do? They must have videos. They got the videos out. There was no videos all over the zoo. So dumb. They had some video far away from the cage. It was obvious there were two men, like their body shape, and it was two men and not two women. They were carrying bags, what they throw, but they couldn't see the faces. Even Suzan, she didn't look like Arab. She had really fair skin. She was white with the green eyes, and she was blonde. She was really pretty. So they thought she's even Russian. They didn't know she's a foreign girl. And she had no IDs. There was nothing to tell who she is. Anyway, back to the friends, her Egyptian friends, of course, they were asking about her. And the system in Russia, like us here in America, they give a lease and then you have to pay your rent. She was smart. She paid 3 months ahead because she thought she would run out of money or her brother will take the money. She paid 3 months ahead. So the leasing office told the Egyptian girls that they cannot do anything. They cannot break into the house because she paid for 3 months. And after 3 months, only then they can break the door down or see what's going on inside. Of course, 3 months passed, and the leasing officer broke down the door or opened the door, and they found nothing. The apartment was extremely clean, so organized, like nothing happened. It was incredible how these two criminals went back and cleaned the house. They even bought new appliances, new plates and dishes. They used chemicals to clean everything. Actually, the apartment got leased to someone else after that. That's what the report says. There was absolutely no trace of anything left in the apartment, like nothing happened in it. So the case not got closed, but the police didn't know where to go from there. There was nothing, no evidence, no trace of anything. So they came up with a good idea. They said, well, the criminals usually go to the crime scene always for some reason. They look for the memory or some psychologically compelling reason they have. But it's proven that the criminals always go back to the crime scene. So they thought, okay, let's open the zoo. which, by the way, already 7 months passed since the incident, and the zoo was closed for 6 months, and it's a very massive attraction and source of income for the city. So they thought, let's reopen the zoo, bring everything back to normal, get the tourists back, shut down the story, and hopefully the criminal will come back and we will catch them. And they already installed a full set of cameras all over the zoo, way better than before, so they can catch anything from anywhere. And of course, Rami came back to the zoo, and there was another suspect. So they got a hold of the first suspect, which was a crazy Russian guy. He was known that he has obsession over rabbits. He was always hanging out around rabbits. And they let him go. And then they got a hold of Rami, of course, because he appeared in the videos a couple times and was looking suspicious, teared out clothes, really looked dirty, like a homeless person. So that's when they catched him. And that's, as I said, when they catched Rami in the zoo. Of course, the zoo is very dear to Russians because of the weather. The weather is extremely difficult in Russia, and it's very hard to get animals. The animal protection agencies is refusing to give animals to an extreme weather countries like the Middle East. Is so hot, so they don't sell them specific animals because they cannot tolerate the heat. They will die. The same with Russia. They cannot get specific animals, so they have to buy them from the black market. And that's when it gets extremely expensive, so animals are so precious to them. Anyway, after they catched Rami, they started to investigate who is this guy, and they found out that he's just a homeless person, and he used to go to a school. He got expelled, and they found out that he's Palestinian, and that's it. So they let him go, believe it or not. And then again, he kept coming back to the zoo, the dumbass. He kept coming back to the zoo, and he was always high, always on the drugs. He looked miserable, and he's still homeless. He sleeps in the street. And then they catched him again, and they investigated deeper about him again. And then they found out that he has a sister that came to the country, and she never left, and there is no trace of her. And that's when the whole story collapsed and everything got known. They hold him, and they told him, hey, where is your sister? And of course, he then told them the whole thing. He said, yes, I killed her, and he didn't care at that moment. Drug addict at his late stage. He didn't care about anything. And then the Russian police after that catched everybody in the group. Anybody who knew Rami from close or far away, they catched him. The school, his peers, Sajjad, the two Egyptian girls, everybody, Jimmy, everybody's name was there, and they catched him except Jimmy. Jimmy, after what he did, he left the school. He escaped back to his mom to Thailand and disappeared forever. Until today, nobody was able to find him. Of course, Russia contacted the Thailand government, but the Thailand government didn't care. They said, do whatever you want, but we are not going to interfere in this matter. And so the Russian police interviewed the mom. They interrogated her, and she said, I know nothing. I don't know about my son. He disappeared. Of course, she was the one who was specialized in the hypnotizing criminals. She knows a lot about the crime scenes and criminal worlds. She claimed that he disappeared in Phuket. He went touring and he never came back. She doesn't know where he is. And she's wealthy and she knows everybody, so of course he's gonna run away with what he did. And until today Jimmy never been found. And he was so dumb that he opened an Instagram account in 2015, but he immediately went back and deleted everything. And until today, nobody was able to find him. But I believe in justice, and I believe one day he will get caught, like all stories. Regarding the Egyptian girls, Sajjad married one of them, as I told you, and he eventually divorced them, and that's where they ended. Inside the prison now, we are back to Rami. What happened to Rami inside the prison? Of course, in Russia, it's a Russian prison. What do you think is going to happen there? It's like hell on earth, of course. And Rami is gone. Is gone in a prison. Imagine what happened to him. He was like everybody's bitch. He was being raped all the time, and and in prison, they give them shower naked in groups. He got treated from the addiction. Of course, they have to give them doses. They cannot just cut them off completely. So he was dealing with that. One day he was in the public shower naked with everybody, and in prisons nobody talks about religion. It's forbidden. It's globally, actually, not just in Russian prison. You are not allowed to talk about religion or race or anything. And the dumbass, one day they were taking shower in groups, and he saw this guy with very long hair, and he ran and pulled the guy hair out of the blue for no reason, like a crazy person. Oh my God, this guy lost his mind. Who is this pulling my hair? Immediately, there was a Tunisian prisoner. He yelled at him, run immediately. And Rami started running. He didn't know where to go. He was wet. The floor was wet. And he started running all over the halls, and this guy is following him everywhere. And it was so slippery for both of them. But Rami started running, and he kept passing corners, sliding around. And one of the corners had the box, the electricity big box. It was there, and it was an old one. And as soon as he held it, it just catched him because he was wet. Oh my God, and he was being electrocuted until he got fried, because as I told you, it's an old electric box, and it doesn't have that feature where it shut down the electricity if someone got electrocuted like the ones we have today. It just held him and fried him until his hair fell off, his body hair fell off. He started smoking and just turned to a just solid piece of meat. And the police came, they took the body, and that was the end of Rami, believe it or not. That was the end of him. Oh my God. And very, very disturbing story, and that's the end of it. A genius because of drugs, and that gives everybody a lesson that the drugs path will lead to death and destruction. It will never take you to the right place at all. And one character and one point. You remember when I told you, why do you think a student would have two places, a place inside the campus in the dorms and another apartment outside? There has to be a reason. That guy, Malik, the Afghani guy, ended up not to be Afghani. That's what he told everybody, but he's not from Afghanistan. Nobody knows where he's from. He had like 8 passports, 20 names. Nobody knows where he came from. Nobody knows where he lived. He's just like a piece of salt and disappeared. Nobody has that level of being mysteriousness around him unless he's supported by a bigger group. The Russian investigation found out that he belongs to a group that target genius people from the Arabic descendants or Middle Eastern descendants, and just target them and destroy them. The report says, not me, this is the report that says nobody left the Middle East as a genius that have an extraordinary mental ability and left and came back to his country. They always get assassinated or get involved in drugs or ended up being in jail, or they lose their lives. Something happens, so it's like an organization targeting them. And that's it. You will never see this stuff in the news. You will never see it anywhere unless you hear it from the other side of the globe. There are some evil people who target other nations, I guess, for some reason, and nobody knows who these are. Because education and learning is the way for nations to prosper, and that's where the Arabic Spring came from, I'm assuming. I don't know. And that's how it ended. Take care and hope you like the story. Take care. Bye-bye.